What is up, guys? Good morning. So today we're pulling out the motor in the good old Sportline LE. I'm going to show you guys basically the little step-by-step on how I do it for the most part. I'm not going to show you a whole entire, tools list. But yeah, let's just go ahead and jump right into it and get to work. Alright guys, so usually the first step I do when starting this job is obviously I remove everything from the front. I apologize I didn't record that process. I did it quite a while ago when I thought I was just going to be fixing an issue with this car. Unfortunately, it turned out to be 100 times worse than I ever could have anticipated. The cam, I think, actually jumped a tooth, and every single one of the bolts for the cam are completely stripped out 100%. When I say this motor's toast, this motor is toast, guys. I mean, there's no bringing this thing back. It's definitely shot. All this nice sparkly silver toning on the engine, all of this is metal shards. When we took the oil out of the motor, I mean, it just looked like a glitter bomb went off in it. It was horrible. When I say it was bad, it was freaking bad. So I'm not even going to try to rebuild it. We're literally just going to pull it out, trash this motor. I'm probably going to turn it into like a coffee table. Or a guy on Instagram actually showed me this really cool thing where they turned an old engine block, believe it or not, into a fireplace. So we're going to have to do something cool with this motor, so we'll definitely do that. But to start with, obviously we're going to go ahead and jack this thing up, put it on 4 jack stands so that way we could start taking off everything from the underneath. Every time I do this job, I like to start from the back and work my way forward. Yes, you can just remove the engine instead of removing the transmission, but for me, I feel like it's easier personally to pull the engine and transmission together. So I'm going to take off the drive shaft, I'm going to take off the shift linkage, obviously the neutral safety switch, all that stuff on the side of the transmission. There's only one vacuum line, so we're not going to mess with that. And then you move forward a little bit. I'm obviously going to take off the bracket for the transmission, like the transmission mount. I'm going to take off the... Oh my goodness, I just had a brain fart. Alright guys, so if you didn't catch the last episode, I'll go ahead and catch you up a little bit, okay? We're doing an engine swap on this because this motor is shot. It's completely kaput. There's no saving it. It's bad. When I say it's bad, I mean every single cam bolt that holds this cam gear in place, that one's missing. They are 100% stripped, destroyed. Like, there is no fixing that. Not only that, but the engine actually did have a knock. It had a horrible exhaust leak. And if you look right here in the top of the valve cover, yeah, all that silver stuff is actually metal shards. So it's bad, bad. When we drained the oil in this thing, it was horrible. It was probably, honestly, one of the worst motors that I've seen. And that's just the stuff that's not already off the car. So yeah, the motor's done. So we're pulling it out and we're swapping it over to a 3.0 instead of a 2.6 because obviously we want to give it a little bit more power. Figured while we're in there, we might as well. So the first step you want to do is usually take off the entire front of the stuff. I apologize I didn't record that process. I thought I was only going to be fixing a few little issues on it. Turns out it's a full motor swap job. So yeah, that's obviously done. So the next thing you're going to want to do after taking everything off in the front is you want to jack up the car, put it on 4 jack stands as high as you can, or obviously if you have a lift like we do. I'm not going to be using the lift. I kind of want to show you guys how you can do it as well in your garage and kind of do a little bit of a step-by-step. That's the whole reason I don't use all my bigger tools and my shop tools and stuff, is because I'm trying to make it as convenient and easy as for you guys to follow along. So I hope you guys... I guess you could say appreciate that, because I'm trying here. I'm trying. But the best thing and the best way to go about this is put the car in neutral after you have it up in the air. You want to take off the drive shaft. You want to undo the neutral safety switch that's on the side of the transmission. On the back, you're going to have a kick down switch. Usually all you have to do is just pull that guy out. And then you're going to want to go ahead and remove the transmission support, okay? After that, you're going to move forward quite a bit, and then you're going to be taking off a ground wire or ground strap that is hooked up from the chassis to one of the bell housing bolts. Like I said, I am going to be pulling the engine and transmission together. I know you can only pull just the engine, but obviously I want to clean underneath the car. I want to kind of dress it up a little bit because like I said in my previous video, I am going to be selling this car. So I want it to be tip-top shape. I want it to be in the best condition as possible. So that's why we're pulling it out with the transmission. After we take off the ground strap, we're obviously going to move forward quite a bit, and then we're going to start undoing our fuel line. We're going to be undoing our AC lines and everything. Basically, any wire, everything that's on the side of the motor, we're going to be taking off. After that, the motor's obviously going to be tilted back quite a bit. Go ahead and take off. You only have to take off the 2 at the bottom or take off the 2 at top, whatever's more convenient for you. I personally take off the 2 motor mounts from the bottom going up, just because I like to do everything underneath the car from the back forward first. But that's just the way I do it. So I'll kind of go through the entire process. I'll tell you what size everything is, so that way if you guys kind of want to write everything down and go like that, you can. But yeah, for the most part, that's it, guys. So I guess let's just go ahead and just jump right into it and get to work. All right, so I guess before doing all the transmission stuff, the first thing you want to do is take off your exhaust. So you're going to need to get to these 2 bolts here, and then the 2 bolts that are also down there. The best way to do this is to go from underneath the car on the driver or passenger side. It really doesn't matter. But you're going to want to get these 2 right here. And then I can't really get the camera up there. I apologize. It's going to just be a little hard to show you. But then you're going to want to get the 2 that are in the front right there. You can see it. I'll put an arrow right here so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. But that one there, and then that one there. And then I promise you can get to the other one. You just have to, yeah, the camera's just too big to fit. But that's the first thing we're going to go ahead and take off. Then we're going to go ahead and take off the mount, which is right here and here. All right, guys, now that we have our exhaust mount off that goes right here, the next thing you're going to want to do is take off these 2 17s, the 2 13s, and then the 2 17s again. The way I do it is take off this one, then go diagonal, and then take off this one, and then that one. And then I do take this off, and I'm going to because obviously I'm going to be cleaning this because it is disgusting. So let's go ahead and knock that out real quick. All right, so after you have the mount off, obviously your exhaust manifold off, all that good stuff. Next, what you're going to want to do is take off this little guy right here next to that green dot. That right there is going to be your speedo cable. It's a 10 millimeter. You're going to just take that out. After you do that, you're going to want to take off these bolts right here for the guibo, and then you're going to pull the drive shaft towards the back of the car just enough that after you do that, the transmission might sag and hang down a little bit, but that's okay. Next, what you're going to want to do is take off your neutral safety switch. This guy right here, as you guys can see, I already have mine unplugged. All I have to do is just pull it right out, and then you're just going to pull this cord and everything right to the side of the car, and then that's it. I don't normally take my exhaust completely off 100%, just because there's really no need to. Obviously, it's not really in the way, or at least it shouldn't be in the way when you're doing this job. But yeah, so let's go ahead and take off these guys right here, and then we'll be able to move on to the front of the car a little bit, because after that we need to take off this ground strap right here that goes from the bell housing to our frame. I like to take it off right here at the frame. I don't really like messing with the bell housing bolt. There's no need to, so you shouldn't mess with it if you don't have to. So let's go ahead and knock out all this stuff really quick. Alright, so as you guys can see, I have all the bolts out. I went ahead and just put the car in neutral, so that way I could turn the beautiful drive shaft just like that. Obviously, next what you're going to want to do is take off, let me see if you can see it, there we go. You're going to want to go ahead and take off this little E-clip right here so you could pull the shift linkage out. Keep the car in neutral, keep the transmission in neutral, obviously, if you're doing this. At least that's what I do. Right after that, go ahead and go to the top of the car, and then start going from there. Alright, and before, obviously, we go to the top, we should probably take off our motor mounts, which are inside of these holes right here. So there's one. And then 2 should be right here. Alright guys, so I figured I'd go ahead and stop that time lapse really quick and kind of show you everything I did. So obviously we have our vacuum lines off right here that we're going across. We have our coolant reservoir off, that was just a flat head. We have the AC line off and disconnected. As you can see, our power steering lines are still dripping, but we have those guys off. Our cruise control module is now off and disconnected. We took off the entire spark plug distributor cap and all that good stuff. As you guys can see, we have the throttle linkage off. We have the bigger coolant hose for the heater core that goes in the back right there is officially off. We do have a few vacuum lines that are already off and done. Now all we have to do is just the nice tedious wiring harness. That right there is basically just going to get kind of lifted and then pulled up this way, out of the way completely, so that way we don't have to do anything too crazy and major. And then once that's done, realistically, you kind of just want to go across the whole entire motor. Oh, the one line that I am saving for last is my fuel return, which is that guy down there. You can't take it off from here, because if you try to take it off from here, this is connected to the AC. Technically, it's like a fuel chiller. So it goes from there to the fuel chiller, from the fuel chiller down to the return, which is that guy right there. So you do actually have to disconnect it from down here, not up here, just so you guys know. But for the most part, we have this thing pretty much done. I mean, there's not really much else. Obviously, we still have to do our alternator wires on that side. We have to do our starter wires, which are on this side. And then I am going to end up pulling the whole entire thing out with the intake manifold attached. And then, like I said, what I'll do is I'll get up in here, we'll clean all this stuff that's around, try to make everything look super nice, super shiny, make it all look brand new again. And then we'll start tearing apart the engine, taking everything off that we're going to need. Obviously, we have a brand new water pump here, made in Germany. So we're going to be trying to use some of these parts, obviously, because they are nice, they are clean, they are good. It's just the actual motor itself is kaput with all the metal shards and everything else in it. So with all that being said, let's just go ahead and start taking off this wiring harness and unplugging all the stuff we have, and then kind of just go from there. All right, so I figured with doing this, I probably won't do a time lapse, because this right here is a lot more tedious. And then, yeah, you guys might want to watch this part a little bit closer, or closely. But for the most part, all you gotta do is just unhook everything. It is kind of a pain in the butt to get everything off, that's for damn sure. And the reason it's such a pain in the butt is because a lot of this stuff is very, very fragile, and you don't want to break any of the clips, you don't want to break any of the electrical connectors, because if you do, they are close to impossible to find 9 times out of 10, and it's just a nightmare if I'm being 100% honest. So definitely take your time doing this step. But yeah, I obviously like to use a flathead. Just make it very, very simple. Very, very easy. And if you do have your plastic cover, this whole piece still connected, it does come off with, if I'm not mistaken, it should be 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, Jesus, sorry I repeated myself. Those are 10 mils. Alrighty, got all that taken care of. Now let's go ahead and do our ground. Again, the ground should also be a 10. Yep. 10 millimeter, just like everything else on this car. There we go. Alright, let's go ahead and push this guy out of the way. Alright, now this one down here, I have broken this in the past a lot. I'm not even gonna lie. The cold start valve. Oh, there we go. I actually got it off there without too much fuss. How convenient. I did just lose a little rubber gasket, but there we go. Put that cute little guy right back in there. Just don't lose it. All right, now technically, that should be everything attached to our motor. Fingers crossed. That should be all of our electrical that's on the engine, that's actually attached to the car, I mean. And it is. So as you guys saw, it's definitely not too difficult to actually hold the wires out of the way. Like a bungee cord that'll go from here to the hood, just so that way it stays out of the way, because I really don't want to mess anything up. I don't want to destroy it. So just like that, it's out of the way. Then realistically all you have to do is just pretty much lift the motor and you're done. All right, guys. So as you can see, we have every single thing off the entire car. Absolutely nothing is touching or connected. This is not connected, I promise. Nothing is touching our motor. Nothing is touching our transmission. Everything theoretically should be unhooked. So all I gotta do is get my chain really quick, which I have no idea where my chain is. My brother probably stole my chain. Yeah, I'm blaming you. And we'll literally just hook it up on our 2 points, which is here and back there. And then basically just cross our fingers and hope that I actually did disconnect every single thing, which I think I did, so I guess we'll see. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see if I actually unhooked everything or if I missed something. All right, it actually didn't turn out too bad. Everything came out really, really easy, nice and smooth, just like it should have been. Now all I gotta do is just clean the heck out of everything because it's super dusty, nasty, disgusting. But for the most part, everything actually looks really, really good. So I'm very happy about that. Obviously, this nasty sucker is gonna be thrown in the trash. And again, this is the 2.6, not the 3.0. So the 3.0 is going to be going in now. Getting all done up, looking all perfect and purty. So, yeah. Now I guess let's go ahead and we'll put this thing on the floor so it's not just hanging. I'm going to clean up underneath the car a little bit. Clean up some of the stuff on the sides. And then I'm just going to start spraying everything off. So I obviously wasn't going to record this part, but right now I'm just using some simple green, some water, and then just a cheaper rag. And I'm cleaning everything off in here. I'm going to try to make everything look just as shiny as the outside of the car and just as good. Like I said, this car is going to be going up for sale, and whoever buys it, I just want them to have an extremely ridiculously nice car. So I'm doing this the way that I would want somebody to do it for me, pretty much. So let's just cross our fingers and hope we can get the whole car to look this good underneath the engine bay. But yeah, gonna just finish doing this really fast, and I guess we'll be right back. All right, guys, so there you have it. After about an hour and a half of working and trying to clean this thing up and making it look all polished and good and nice, there you go. I still have to do this shock tower up here a little bit and a little bit of the stuff up here, but other than that, I removed everything on this side. Everything looks good. It is a little bit dull, so I gotta try to shine that up a little bit more, but for the most part, everything looks fantastic in my opinion. Look at that. It's like a mirror, as it should be in my opinion. But there you go. There you have it. I think I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here because I've been doing a lot. I mean, we pulled the motor, detailed the heck out of the engine bay. I kind of went with you guys and showed you exactly what I do and how I do an engine pull. I just need to finish detailing a little bit more. Like I said, do some dressing, and then there you go. But next video, we're going to be throwing the engine in. We're going to be showing it to you guys, doing just pretty much everything in reverse. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one.